Saint of the Day. September 9th. Saint Peter Claver. Apostle of the West Indies and the slave to the slaves, religious, priest and confessor, patron of the missions to African people and human rights defender. Born, June 26, 1580 Verdu, Urgell, Lleida, Catalonia. Died, September 8, 1654, aged 74, Cartagena, New Kingdom of Granada, Spanish Empire. Venerated in Roman Catholic Church, Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. Beatified, July 20, 1850 Pope Pius IX. Canonized, January 15, 1888 Pope Leo XIII. Major Shrine, Church of Saint Peter Claver, Cartagena, Colombia. Feast, September 9. Patronage. Slaves, Colombia, Race Relations, Ministry to African Americans, Seafarers. Saint Peter Claver, S.J., was a Catalan Jesuit priest and missionary born in Verdu, Catalonia, who, due to his life and work, became the patron saint of slaves, the Republic of Colombia, and ministry to African Americans. During the 40 years of his ministry in Colombia, it is estimated he personally baptized around 300,000 people. He is also the patron saint for seafarers. He is considered a heroic example of what should be the Christian praxis of love and of the exercise of human rights. The Congress of the Republic of Colombia declared September 9 as the Human Rights National Day in his honor. A native of Spain, young Jesuit Peter Claver left his homeland forever in 1610 to be a missionary in the colonies of the New World. He sailed into Cartagena, a rich port city washed by the Caribbean. He was ordained there in 1615. Peter Claver was born into a farming family in the Spanish region of Catalonia during 1581. He studied at the University of Barcelona as a young man and joined the Jesuits as a novice at the age of 20. While studying philosophy in Tarragona, Peter developed a friendship with an older Jesuit lay brother, Alphonsus Rodriguez. Although Alphonsus spent his days doing menial work as a doorkeeper, he had immense insight into spiritual matters and encouraged Peter to become a missionary in the Spanish colonies. Pope Leo XIII would later canonize both men on the same day, almost 2 centuries later. In 1610, Peter Claver, now a priest, arrived in Cartagena, a port city in present-day Colombia. Despite Pope Paul III's repeated condemnations of slavery during the previous century, European colonists continued importing African slaves, often sold by their own rulers, to work on plantations and in mines. Those who survived the ship journey could expect to be worked to death by their masters. Peter was determined to sacrifice his own freedom to bring material aid and eternal salvation to the African slaves, in keeping with his vow to become the slave of the blacks forever. The young priest made and kept this resolution despite his own health problems, aggravated by Cartagena's tropical climate, and the language barrier between himself and the population he served. Many Spanish royal officials in Cartagena appreciated Claver's work and made contributions toward the slaves' relief and religious education. The slave traders, on the other hand, found the priest and his interpreters to be a nuisance. Meanwhile, some Spanish expatriates who sought out the priest because of his holy reputation refused to enter the same church or confessional as the black slaves. In order to minister to speakers of a foreign language, Claver often employed pictorial representations of Catholic truths. He also communicated by means of generosity and expressions of love, giving food and drink to the ailing workers and visiting them during bouts of sickness that often proved fatal. "We must speak to them with our hands," he reasoned, "before we try to speak to them with our lips." In keeping with his vow of slavery, Peter survived on minimal amounts of food and sleep. His life of humility and penance led to miraculous occurrences, as when he healed the sick with the touch of his cloak or appeared surrounded by a supernatural light during his hospital visits. Saint Peter Claver's work came to an end with his death on September 8, 1654. He had baptized and taught the faith to more than 300,000 slaves during his 4 decades in Cartagena. During the Vatican Synod for Africa in 2009, Cartagena's Archbishop Jorge Enrique Jiménez Carvajal lamented the fact that his city had been the center of awful commerce. But he spoke with gratitude for the fact that the same city had become the home of such a great witness to sanctity, the apostle of the slaves, whose body rests in our cathedral, who lived to protect them and lead them towards the faith in which they could experience God's love.